Order meeting of Wabash County Plan Commission for August 7th. First up will be a roll call
Randy Curlis,
here.
Jeff Dawes,
Here.
Sam Han,
Here.
Chris Hickman,
Here.
Mark Mylum,
Here.
Doug Rice, Mike Bruce,
Here.
Jeff Shortkin,
Here.
Sherry Sleek,
Here.
Joe Vogel.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, next will be approval of the minutes from the July 3rd meeting. So here, any additions, corrections, or
I'll move to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
moved in second?
Randy Curlis,
Yes.
Jeff Dawes,
Yes.
Sam Han,
Yes.
Chris Hickman,
Yes,
abstain,
staying, okay, whatever.
Mark Mylum,
Same.
Mike Bruce,
Yes.
Sherry Sleek,
Same.
Joe Vogel.
Yes.
Okay, next up on the agenda is a matter of old business, unsafe premise order, 25 North Perch Street, Mary Chandler.
Yes, we had been approved for demolition of the property for the trailer for Mary Chandler and the cleanup of the property. The contract went to Chuck Shane. Chuck has since pretty much got it almost all done. He signed the contract on July 8th, completion date within 60 days, which would be September 8th. And he called, Tuesday, I think, and said when he was finished, he was probably be finished by the end of the week. He'd send over some pictures and I'll go out and verify everything. That he was gonna be completed. I went out last week on Wednesday and he still had some stuff to clean up. So, it is pretty much probably done by now if he's done what he said he was gonna do. So we just wanted to give you an update on that and he should have it done within his, contract time, so.
Next would be ordinance review.
We're currently working on that. Jennifer's doing some reformatting of some pages on that. From the suggestions that we got from Banning. We are currently, going through those and, redlining, some of the issues that we have seen from them. And doing just a little bit of reformatting. Most of it will be chapter 5. The 3 different pages of stuff that's sort of redundant information on each page. We're hoping to simplify that down to 1 page a piece, and redo those pages. There's a few other things, but that's taken up the majority of our time right now, because that's where the majority of the issues that were given to us and the majority of issues that we see. So we're hoping, I don't know if we'll have anything by next month, but we're gonna try. We'll try to get something by our meeting next month for the board to review. For changes, and we'll see if we can get that at least get the review going for the board and have something to look at.
Okay. Next, we move into new business, Southeast 25007. Would
I have a zoning issue under old business. That can be fairly brief, or do you want me to wait till?
we'll wait till the end. We'll take
Thank
the
you.
comments at the end. So this is Southeast 25007, Jonathan and Lisa Engel, Noble Township.
Yes, as you can see in your packet, Mr. Engel filed for the special exception for his pond on 7/11. We've got some pretty decent pictures there of what the property looks like. At one time, there was a pond there, as you can see in some of the older pictures on further back from the 70s and 80s in the same area. They did get their approval from the drainage board. And he's here asking for approval for the pond. We didn't see any issues with any setback requirements. So there was no need at this time. Well, wait a minute, was there? Yeah, there is a need for a variance, isn't there? From the south property line, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get an exact dimension on it, but we're pretty sure it's gonna have to be with a variance on that, because you can't have a pond within 105 feet of the property line, so. Depending on what that dimension was, we didn't have an actual dimension on here, that would be the only part of the pond that looks like it would require a variance from it for the setback requirements. We wanted to go ahead, and get your information on that, see if you give us a number on that, so we could add that to the, request for the Board of Zoning Appeals for final approval for the variance request too.
Yeah, it would be wherever it needed to be to fit within the parameters of.
Yeah, I sort of got it blown up here on this, and it's just sort of hard to tell where that line comes through at. And it looks like it's right around this batch of trees right here. So if you actually measure it from here, it's roughly about, 45 or 50 feet from the property line, depending. It does show it swooping into this little patch of trees right here, just a little bit. So
I don't believe it would extend that far to the east, like right where your arrow is, goes up into like the cattails where they are.
up into here,
Yeah.
or you talking about
It's
coming in
gonna
and
be-
rotating it in
It's gonna
here,
be further, I guess, north, and then it wraps around to go west.
somewhere in here. So even, I just want to double check, because even from here, we're about 50, 52 feet. So, I mean, doubling that would put you, up in this area here would be your minimum setback. So, we just want to make sure that we get the paperwork right with the Board of Zoning Appeals, and make sure if you're more than 105 feet off, what that actual dimension is, or roughly what that actual dimension is. I know it's gonna be hard to tell with a pond. I mean, you get in there and things could change, but we at least need something rough. So if it's 40 feet, if it's 50 feet, we need to note that for the Board of Zoning Appeals issue. So other than that, we didn't see any problems with it, or we didn't have any questions with it with our office, and our staff recommendation was for approval of this too. Pending the dimensions for the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Jonathan, are you gonna be doing the earthwork yourself or contracting?
Contracted now.
Okay.
Any further questions? There's no other questions. Entertain a motion for a favorable recommendation.
I'll second that favorable one.
Randy Carlin,
Yes.
Jeff Dawes,
Yes.
Sam Han,
Yes.
Chris Hickman.
Yes.
Mark Mylum,
Yes.
Mike Bruce,
Yes.
Sherry Slee,
Yes.
Joe Vogel.
Yes.
Recommendation, so we'll see you August 26th.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, our introduction into a new plan commission member. Mr. Chris Hickman. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Hickman's there. He is a pick from the commissioners. So they gave their approval for Mr. Hickman to be on the plan commission. So he's here tonight. This is his first meeting.
Next up is staff reports.
We, as usual, have our reports for the monthly reports showing the financials and the permit activity. There is some under the financial reports, you can obviously you can see the glaring issues there, the red and the green. Big differences that we found were the types of permits that we had. About this time last year, we had a couple of big pole barns and homes that were built. And as you can see on the next page, the new frame homes are down 6 from last year. And that's really where the bulk of our permit fees come from, because they are the most expensive. They're 7 cents a square foot, where pole barn sheds, things like that are 5 or 3 cents, and they're a lot smaller. So that's the difference in the information from last year to this year as far as that goes. And we did have, what did we say, 5? I think we had 5 major ones last year about this time that we are down from this year for that. So. And then there was under unsafe premise fund. I don't want to call anybody out here or anything, but we did make an error in a disbursement of some funds, $31.20. We took the money out of the general fund rather than the unsafe premise fund, and had to go do a correction for that. It was, like I said, $31.20. But luckily we caught it before the audit, so everything should be good to go. So. And then we just have the regular, charts on the back that sort of show the differences from, this year to, this month of this year to the same as last year. And, the income breakdown, things like that, so. Any questions? It's just information. If anybody has any questions, they can always give us a call and check in with us, and we'll be happy to go over any of it.
Next is the complaints update.
Okay, active complaints right now, open and confirmed are 36. 2 unsafe premises. We did close one, but then we just sent another one out this week, so. And then we have 12 right now under legal. 6 of them, of the ones that we have new from this year, from 2025, have been closed. 23 total resolved this year, including ones that were rolled over from last year. And we are going through the reassessments, so we have tons of those, and I don't want to bore you with all that because that changes virtually daily. We're getting reassessments in between 3 and 6 a week, probably, for issues of no permits for structures that they're finding during their reassessment. So we're going through those, sending letters at least once a week in bulk to affected people and trying to get those taken care of. So I think we only have 2 left over from last year, or 3 from 2024. We have a couple left over from 2024. We're still trying to reconcile. Other than that, every one that we have now is new. So we've tried to deal with these as they come in and get those taken care of. So. That's all I got.
Okay. That's the normal agenda items. Does anyone on the board have anything to bring business before?
I do real quick, if anybody else doesn't. The formatting of the agenda, if you notice, everybody's names over to the left-hand side with your the term, your terms on it. That is a mandate from the state. Got a copy of that if anybody's bored enough to want to read it. It's just something that we were told we had to start doing. So you will see this on the agendas from now on. And it'll also help to remind you when your terms are up too. All those are from January 1 to December 31st with the years.
Anything else from the board? Yeah. Okay, so the public have something? Just stay there.
You want to hear me?
We'll hear you.
Okay. Good evening. Thanks for serving our county. My name's Dave Turflinger. I'd like to welcome Chris on board. I come here tonight for some clarification on zoning. In July of 24, I filed a complaint on a pergola at 64 West Lakeside Drive with Mr. Campbell. And here we are again. Mr. Campbell came to the planning commission months ago in 2025, I believe it was, or late 24, and needed a clarification on the zoning on what a structure was. There was some issues about the thing, I don't wanna go down a rabbit hole here, but he had some issues with it, so he came to the planning commission. And according to your minutes, you said that a pergola is a structure. And at that point, the planning commission minutes show that, it was a structure, and Mr. Campbell was directed to send a letter to the property owner to move or remove due to the side setback. It's too close to the property line. I'm on a lakefront lot for those of you that are new. And, the property owner, after months of no response, got a second letter and then applied for variance, which went to the BZA the last 2 months. And the information presented in that meeting, I believe to be an error. And because of that information, the property owner who's here tonight decided to cancel his request for a variance because of the information that was shared in the BZA meeting. And I was told to come here repeatedly that I was in the wrong venue at the BZA meeting. Okay, and after I went home, I just couldn't imagine this planning commission or any other planning commission putting in place an ordinance that would require the people on this side of the street to get a variance in order to get a building permit if they wanted to put a building in front of their house. But yet on the lake side of the street, the front of the house is considered the lakeside. And according to the information that was presented at the last BZA meeting, it said that there was no setback. It was just a matter of paying for a building permit. And I just couldn't get my mind over any planning commission, being discriminatory or setting a double standard like that. It just didn't make any sense to me. And what was referred to in the BZA meeting was this chart that I think Mr. Campbell can probably put it up there where you can all look at it. But, can you put that up there?
Mr. Gersinger,
Okay.
you are not on the agenda for tonight.
I requested to be and was told,
And it was denied, and I was part of that decision.
okay, but I've since discovered and at that point was trying to convey to Mr. Campbell that I had been directed at the BZA meeting that I was in the wrong place. Because, I'll just.
Your request at that meeting was something that you were asking that had to do with the ordinance. And the BZA doesn't have anything to do with
And
writing the ordinance.
that's why I'm here tonight. I was just.
Right, and I sent you a letter that said, if you have a problem with the ordinance, you need to file that information with us. We're going through a review and we'll do it. And there is public comment time at that point in time.
And I did that in my email. The point is, he missed an asterisk when it says no setback on the lakeside. He missed an asterisk when it says open. For the setback, it says open on the chart, and there's an asterisk. And I thought, why is that there? So if you go in your ordinance to 6.1.3, it says there's a key there. I can pass it around if you don't like to look at it. There's a key there for reading the chart. And one asterisk stands for same as road setback, 35 feet from the water line measured from the high water point. Anybody can make a mistake. Now, Mr. Campbell missed the asterisk. And when I scrolled down and found 6.13, which is in your ordinance, and there's all kinds. There's one for NA, two asterisks, 3, 4, 5, BPS. It's all kinds of it. It's the key for that chart. And it clearly states that there's a 35-foot setback on the lake side measured from the high water part to any residential or accessory structure. And that's why I'm here tonight. And like I said, I got copies here if you want to see it, or you can look it up, but it says front yard setback will be measured from the structure in the high water level in 6.2.4, which I brought all this up in the BZA meeting, and Jeff and Joe told me repeatedly to come here. And then when I tried to talk to Brian, he told me I had to pay a $200 fee and go back to the BZA again.
If you want to appeal the decision I made,
You
that's
didn't make a
that's the
decision,
process.
Brian, you didn't make a decision, because the information you presented that said all he needed was a building permit, there was no variance needed. He went through his variance and you issued his building permit.
He didn't go through the variance.
I know, you told him he didn't need one.
I didn't say that. He came in and did it himself and took the gazebo down. It's
Okay,
gone.
I think you need to go back to the minutes of the BZA. I didn't come here to argue with you. I came here to talk to the.
If you
planning
want to
commission.
appeal a decision that was made by the plan commission director, there is a process for that. And I gave you an application and a process to do it. I sent it to you with the information that I sent you.
You didn't say anything about the planning commission. You told me I had to pay a $200 fee.
Yes,
And go
that's
back to
the
the
board of zoning.
BZA when they spent the better part of their meeting telling me I was in the wrong venue.
No, the wrong
my
venue is
question is
to argue
right
an
now-
issue with the ordinance that has anything to do with the ordinance. You are not arguing the decision I made. The decision I made, if you want to appeal that, is through the board of zoning appeals.
What I'm saying is you misread.
Okay, then appeal my decision. That's what I keep saying. You need to appeal my decision.
You told me this is where, and they
No,
told me this is.
no,
where I
if you
needed
want,
to do
if you
that.
want
We
to
didn't come
argue,
here to argue. I came here to point out that the planning director made a mistake in looking at this chart, and anybody can make a mistake, and at best, the language is ambiguous and, you know.
and I talked to Randy about this, and we sent out that letter together. And if I'm in the wrong, that's fine, but the board of zoning appeals is a place to appeal that decision.
Okay.
And I sent that to you. and if you-
Brian, I'd like to, From Joe.
Is the building gone?
Yes,
The pergola is gone, but they showed up with he pulled a permit for a gazebo that actually made the water run off worse, because now this, if you can see this photo, can I pass this around? This is what they approved, and now the water running off the roof is gonna run right in that limestone, right down the boulders and right in the lake. And now we're gonna have item coming because now you're changing the pH of the water. And it's 10 feet off the property line now, but it's still. The end on the lake end is sitting right on the high water mark. And it's supposed to be 35 feet closer to the house. So I guess my question at this point is, I feel like a trained monkey going from this meeting to that meeting. Exactly what do I need to do to get this resolved? Because it's clear if you read the ordinance, he missed the asterisk, he missed the map key for reading the ordinance. That clearly says that there is a 35-foot setback, and I know as soon as somebody makes it work, it's gonna get appealed to the BZA for a variance. So,
I mean, that's the process, Dave. If I made a decision to not do anything because I don't think there's a problem here. If there is a problem and you think that's a problem, the appeal process is through the board of zoning. I sent you that a week ago, more than a week ago. But yet you wanted to come here. I don't, that is the process.
well, the
When
first
you asked
email-
about it at the plan commission or at the BZA, you were asking about something that was in the ordinance. I said that anything that has to do with this ordinance is the plan commission, but we're reviewing it now.
And that's what I'm asking.
But no, you're asking for them to do something. This is
No,
not the venue for that.
I'm asking if they agree with the ordinance as written. What you change it to is irrelevant. I still got this thing that's, devaluing. Every one of my neighbors either emailed or came to the meeting and said, we don't want this. There's 70 years of history that's, I mean, from the 1950s was the last time they let anything on that side of the lake be that close to the water.
Are you sure about that, Dave?
Yeah,
Okay.
1953 for the one next to me. Could be up to 57 for one of them. But at the end of the day, I came here to see if you guys agreed with, before I go back to the BZA and pay $200 to have that hearing, I want to find out if someone here can look in there and look at the, I mean, I got copies right here, but if Randy or somebody wants to look at it.
Brian, is this something that we need to have Banning take a look at?
No, it's a decision I've already made. So, I mean, Mark, unless I'm wrong here, It's a decision. If he wants to appeal the decision I made, he needs to do that to the board of zoning. That's what our rules of procedure say. That's the letter I sent him. That's what we looked up and found. That's the process.
Any process to appeal a decision of Brian's, whether he does something or not, you go to the BZA unless it's a BZA decision.
Again, this is a zoning ordinance that was misread by the planning director, in my opinion. And I got it right here if you'd like to see it. Can I show it to Mark?
The zoning appeals. So, I mean, I don't want him to have to go there and then you guys see it.
Right there is a.
That doesn't apply to this.
Yes, it does.
You know, that applies to the,
It says applies to the chart.
I don't want
yes,
to-
not that chart, it applies to the special exception setback chart. It's right after.
This says section 5.
Where?
I just printed that page, that says it's in section 5. Can we just agree to let Mark look at this? And see if the planning director missed it or not? I mean, it's clearly here, and here's the key.
I got no problem, Dave. I've gotten absolutely no problem. If I did something wrong, I will own up to it. And I've said the same thing to Randy. That's why I sent you the application. I'm all for doing this as an appeal. If you got something, but that's the process. I can't.
And
This
that's,
board had, I don't think can make that decision, and it can't make it if it's not on the agenda to vote on.
Well, again, I asked to be on the agenda, and it was a planning commission question for our emails back and forth. And then you sent me the thing for BZA, and these two gentlemen up here spent the better part of 15 minutes in that meeting telling me I was in the wrong venue. So where do I go to get clarification on this zoning? Because I've read it 6 times in the last, since the last meeting, and I'm 99% sure that I'm right. You missed the asterisk. Why is the asterisk there?
We can go through it, and I have no problem doing that. If we miss something, I will own up to it. I'll send it out to everybody on this board and explain everything. I've got no problem with that. I just want to make sure that we're doing this the correct way. When we got out of that meeting and you wanted to be on the agenda, I said, well, wait a minute. Our rules and regulations say if you want to appeal a decision by the chair or the director, that has to go through the BCA. That's why I sent you the information I did. And I sent it to Randy first because I wanted to make sure I was doing the right thing. And we agreed.
And your first email said that because it wasn't a special exception and it wasn't
Right.
a variance or any
It wasn't
of that
an
stuff,
application.
you wanted me to send you something, and I did. That I felt like there was confusion somewhere in this ordinance, you know, and again, I come back to what planning commission in the world would say. If I'm wrong, what planning commission in the world would say the people on this site can do whatever they want if they buy a building permit, and the people on this site to do the same thing have to do a variance?
they're different residential districts though.
They're both LR1, one's lakefront and one's not.
I thought one was LR1, one was LR2.
No, they're both RL2, but one is RL2 lakefront and one is RL2 non-lakefront. They are different.
So then that creates the distinction.
And
There are plenty of examples of different types of land use having different setback requirements,
Exactly.
so. There's how you can imagine that a plan commission would do this, and so Dave is right in the fact that our ordinance is confusing. Because there are, I think, at least 3 spots that use the word open as far as the front setback, and 1 spot that still references 35 feet. And in the drafts that I reviewed before it was changed to open, it was in one of the drafts, a 35-foot setback from the front. But it got changed at some point, the chart did not get changed, but what the term open means was never defined. And so Brian's interpretation of it is one thing, Dave wants a different one. Banning should absolutely look at it.
And that's what we're in right now.
That's
is
what we're doing.
We're reviewing everything, so.
And we need to, and that
Yeah.
was the whole point of doing this. We found these issues, and this was one of the main reasons why we asked for this. There are issues with it, and we do need to look at this. Like I said, if I'm in the wrong and the Board of Zoning Appeals says that's the case, I got no problem with them changing anything or overturning a decision. No problem whatsoever. But at this point, that's the way I interpreted it. We've looked at them before. And that's the way I did it. And I sent Dave an application, said, look, this is the process. And at the same time, I just wanted to make sure, if you want to appeal this, here it is. And the decision for an appeal for a decision that was made by me is through the Board of Zoning Appeals. And I apologize if I gave you the runaround at first. I wanted to make sure it was correct. And that's when I got with Randy and said, hey, we need to make a decision here. Here's a letter this is what I'm proposing. And that's when I sent you the letter about what's going on. And I sent you a copy of the application just to make sure we were all on the same page.
And I went by your first email that said you need a description of what I wanted to talk about. And basically it said a disagreement between you and I over the interpretation of the zoning. And then a week later, I get an email that says that now I need to pay a $200 fee and go back to the BZA. I've been to the last 6 BZA meetings, no disrespect intended, but they told me I needed to come here to get clarification on the zoning. And like I said, if you guys are the zoning board, it's right there. He's got all the numbers. And it's one simple thing that he missed an asterisk and didn't go look for the key for the map.
Okay, you've said it.
Okay, thank you.
When you agree that until the banning does the review and we come up with firm rules, there's really no.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, until we know what we're looking at and Brian can present for us. I think you coming to the next meeting, we don't have a decision on that, the planning commission's gonna have to approve whatever this banning company that is looking at these offering changes. And we would approve that, then the planning commission, the BZA can look at them and we will follow. But I think you're gonna have to give some time. Go ahead.
I have a question. This thing's already sitting there. When I pulled my building permit in 22 in December and built my home in 23. I had to go by the 23 rules, and everybody seems focused on this $10,000 that the county's spending to get Banning to review the ordinances. When this mistake, if it is a mistake, has already been made, so how are we gonna rectify it and protect the neighbors' property values by having this thing parked down on the lake?
The decision to issue the permit was a decision by the plan director, which is where that appeal comes into the BZA. That was a decision by the improvement location permit for that
Okay.
gazebo was a decision made by the office. So that's part of the appeal process. If you want that to be heard, it needs to go to BZA through the process that was emailed to you. Anything regarding zoning comes here, but you're bringing in the complaints and the gazebo into your zoning issues.
Exactly.
So, but they're separate issues, that's why there's 2 different boards. But if you're upset about the gazebo, you need to follow the appeals process. That's what the rules of procedure say.
So is that what Joe's saying then, that I need to wait until somebody reviews the current ordinance,
Right.
not the new one, the current one, and makes a decision on whether there's a setback or not?
Well, it'd be the newest ordinance when we approve.
Yeah, and that could be a while. I mean,
Recommendations, if we accept. Right, Brian?
yes,
And then we'll have a guide roadmap to go by. Now, it could be different, it may not say a 35 foot, I don't know, I mean.
What I'm saying is these ordinances were already approved January 1 of 2023 and put in place.
Right.
That's and that's when this building permit was put in place, was in 2025. So again, my question, do I need to wait for Mark and this in order to file my appeal with the BZA? Is there a time limit? Because my neighbors and I, we want this thing gone or set back where it needs to be according to the ordinance. One of the other.
Mark, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think there's a time frame on this. But that could be something we can look at quickly and get back with them right away on.
Pretty sure any appeal has a 30-day.
It does, okay.
Question of your maybe.
But as long as he files the paperwork within 30 days, correct? Because we can't, I mean, we can't hope that the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting is gonna match up with his timeframes, because right now he wouldn't make it till the September BCA.
It's the filing of the application.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
I'm just an observer, but I like to understand when I read, because I gotta go home and explain it to the person at home.
what's your name and your,
Cheryl Ridgway.
Okay.
I'm confused about two things, and the comment is, it seems like we need to go by whatever zoning is in place now. Whatever planning changes, that's future.
yes,
But what's in place now is what's in place, because how you can go back and grandfather everybody else that may not apply to the new rules, so it just seems like, okay, starting fresh when Danny's done, there are new rules, but right now, it is what it is. The other thing I'm curious about is, does he have to pay $200 to appeal that decision? That doesn't seem right, when it was maybe an error, I don't know, I'm just judging by what he says, I haven't looked up the rules. It doesn't seem like he should have to pay $200 to correct a possible error, if he's wrong, and if it comes out, you guys all vote and say no. If Dave was wrong, then yeah, take the 200 from him.
it would.
It's kind of like,
And that is the issue. If he appeals this and he wins the decision, his money will be given back.
it seems like, you
But
know,
that's what's on our fee schedule. That's what the board has approved in the past for that exact issue. If you want to appeal a decision from that, the fee for that is $200. And it is refundable upon turning that decision over.
I thought maybe an appeal, I didn't know, because I don't really understand, I've never been to a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting, I thought it was, if you don't like you rejected me for a pond, and I wanted to appeal that decision and try to give reasons to why I felt like that pond should be different, not necessarily a dispute over right or wrong.
Well, a decision by the Board of Zoning Appeals would have to be appealed, if I'm wrong, through the courts. Appeal from our office is an appeal to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
It seems like maybe the Board of Zoning Appeals has been made an arbitrator, and it seems like the Board of Zoning Appeals should try to, analyze the rule and apply the rule correctly. It doesn't seem like they should be an arbitrator, a mediator. If there's a rule or there's not, I guess I'm black and white, I have trouble seeing gray. I don't know, that's just my comment, or my observation.
Okay, so the next action from Mr. Kersinger is to wait for banning.
Well, we'll double check, but I'm pretty sure tomorrow morning I could get with Mr. Turklinger and let him know that there is a 30-day period if you want to appeal the decision. I'd say then, we should allow that, no matter what time limit has been done. If it was our fault between the time of the last plan commission meeting and we told him differently, that we should still allow him to appeal that. I've got no problem with it. If it needs change and something needs done, I've got no issue with that whatsoever. If the Board of Zoning Appeals overturns it, I've got no problem with it. I have interpreted it one way, he's interpreted another. That's the whole process for the appeal.
Okay, do you understand? Okay,
And there's lots of other areas of this ordinance that I have to do the same thing on a daily basis. So this may never be the last thing unless we can get to a point where we get the zoning orders to a point where we can say, look, this is definite, this is exactly what this is, and this is where, and it may never happen. We can do our best. We're just, a group of people here trying to do the best for the county. That's all. And I've got, like I said, I've got no issue with this whatsoever. If we need to overturn it, that's totally fine with me. That'd be the will of the BZA. It just,
One point I would like to make for the record, just for the record, this isn't about being the property owner. One other property owner had a death in the family, is out of state. The adjoining 250 footers where the letters go, and the other one's daughter is in the hospital in Texas, so neither one of them was able to be here tonight. So I'd just like to get that on the record. That's why I'm here by myself and not with the neighbors again.
Okay,
Thank you.
any other business from the public before the board tonight? Okay, if not, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
7:30.
Thank you, everybody.